If you're working on writing a Christmas novel, there are a couple things you need to keep in mind to make sure that you're staying on genre and making sure you elevate what you're doing to really capture the spirit of Christmas. So let's talk to Karen, who happens to be the queen of Christmas novels and movies that you might recognize from places like Netflix, Lifetime, and Hallmark. Let's jump in and get her tips.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Schaler. I'm a three-time Emmy Award-winning writer. I write Christmas movies, novels, and I have a new Audible project coming out. Really excited about that. But I love writing books, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So really excited to share.
And Karen, you're known as the Queen of Christmas. You are all over the map when it comes to creating Christmas content and coziness and all of the cheer that comes with Christmas. And today we're going to be breaking down some of your best tips for writing Christmas novels. I want to jump right in. What is number one?
Well, number one is Christmas has to be a main character. I can't push this enough. A lot of people decided, oh, Christmas makes money. I'm going to write a Christmas movie or a Christmas book. And they took a regular story and threw in a Christmas tree. It's not going to work, you guys. Christmas has to be part of the story. It has to be part of the character arc. It has to be literally a starring character because it's a very unique time of year. And you're talking about nostalgia and memories. You can still be hip. You can still be funny, but you still need Christmas to be a main character. Number one, most important thing.
I love that. And I feel like you're correct. A lot of people do forget that Christmas can be that main character. Now, as we are starting to get into the mindset of potentially jumping into writing a Christmas book, what else do we need to keep in mind?
Well, I'm really excited because I wanted to show you this is what you need to keep in mind. This is my new book that just came out, Love Always Christmas. It is my 5th Christmas book. But the question you just asked, I want you to look at the cover. Okay, so the cover for me are what we call landscape covers. And you'll see a lot of these cute animated covers. That's actually more on trend, right? Than mine. Mine's kind of traditional. But in mine, if you're writing Christmas specifically, I believe a landscape cover works because it's taking you to a place. If you look at my other covers, there's a Christmas gazebo, there's a house door, and everyone says they want to go inside. So Christmas is a little different than your other categories. So don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody out there is doing the other kind of covers right now, but I really believe even if you're doing animation, make sure it's charming, make sure it's quaint, make sure it evokes those Christmas feelings. I think that's really the number one most important thing because I say Christmas is a character. It's part of the package. And then we go back to our titles. And it's the same thing, whether you're writing a novel, a movie, an audio project, you want to go to IMDb database because in the Christmas world, the movies have ruled with Hallmark, Netflix, and Lifetime, almost 100 movies a year for 10 years. So you're thinking there's probably 1,000 movies out there. You do not want to call your novel one of my movie names because when you start doing searchability and you're starting doing hashtags, it's going to cause confusion in the marketplace. One of the hardest things to selling movies and novels is coming up with a title. If you have a good title, you're like on your way to success. I think those together are kind of all one package.
And since you've done so much work in the Christmas content space, I'm definitely interested in knowing what is one thing you learned along the process that surprised you?
Oh my goodness, everything surprises me every day, Cam, which is good, right? I think but honestly, I think so. I think that when I wrote Christmas movies first, and then I wrote the novel. So, I do things a little bit backwards. But when I was writing the Christmas movies, some of the things that I learned, it was really about the character journey, where how visceral Christmas was to people's memories, and specifically loving and losing someone, whether it's a breakup or whether we've lost somebody permanently. I think that it's really hard anytime someone tries to write a story without that loss. It's almost like all the people that are watching that have lost someone, they don't feel included because it's a part. Christmas brings back memories. Christmas brings back, it's the hardest time of year if you've lost somebody. So for me, what I learned was at first I was trying to stay away from the hard stuff because I thought, this is Christmas and I want to escape and I want it to be happy. But we don't have happy lives. I mean, all of us don't. And that's Pollyanna. And, some of the content that was out there was that way. And so I'm really happy that, I embrace and try and listen, to music and really get in the right headspace to really write with real authenticity and emotions. And that's why with my latest book, I really feel like the reviewers have said it has even more depth. And there's a family dynamic in there. And that there's really, there can be hard things, but the joy and really understanding what matters most at Christmas. So I think that's what surprised me the most, that I think trying to protect myself just wanting happy Christmas memories and realizing that wasn't realistic. That's not what people want. And even kind of my own therapy. Like you need to deal with whatever you're dealing with. You can't just hide in Christmas, you know? You can honor the people that you've lost at Christmas with the memories, but don't pretend that, you know, you're not going through it when you're going through it.
That is such wise counsel because so often we feel like Christmas just has to be happiness and cheeriness and all of the good and wonderful things. And we can often forget that it does include some of those not so great things that we can now reposition and connect to the happier things in our life. So I love that you
Absolutely.
brought that up too. I know you've got a couple more tips for us. So what else do we need to know?
I do. I think, and to the point before we go on that, I want to say that I think it's important, you know, for me, I talk about some of the hard things in my books, but my books are romantic comedies. So they're going to be funny. They're going to be uplifting. I had somebody ask this year, is there any trigger? You know, I lost my mom last year. Is this going to trigger? And, you know, and I think those are smart questions to ask. But I think that overall, you have some sadness, but it's not just so sad the whole book. That's not Christmas. Christmas is about hope and believing. So my content, and I think a lot of authors that I work with, like Jenny Hale and Nancy Nagel, you know, they also write this uplifting. So don't feel sad if you hear, oh, she's widowed or has lost someone. Don't think it's going to be that. It's actually going to be kind of almost therapeutic because you're going to still have the joy. I just wanted to make sure I didn't scare any away from some Christmas
Sure.
stories, you know, that got to be a little worried. You know, I also think when you're writing Christmas content, that one of the really important things is to lean into nostalgia. So even if you were writing in outer space, which would be interesting, you could better put in some of those traditions and some of the nostalgia, you know, because at the end of the day, it's what we're all going to connect to. And so I also said it could be those traditions. I bring my own traditions. I go on Facebook and social. What are your favorite Christmas songs? What are your favorite Christmas traditions? What are your favorite Christmas cookies? And I use you guys to tell me for information. So I like using really traditional, you know, kind of nostalgic. And I always like to create new traditions in every one of my stories. Last year, I borrowed an old tradition in A Royal Christmas Fairy Tale, was my first royal romance that I wrote after writing the Netflix A Christmas Prince. And in it, I was doing research where they have upside down Christmas trees, you know, and I thought, and the way they did it, the homes back in the day were too small. So they hung the tree upside down so there'd be more floor space. So I
Right.
included a historic tradition. And then I have so much fun making up traditions. So traditions and nostalgia, I think, are key. Now, this one's silly. And I know you're going to, everyone laughs at me, but I say twinkle lights. So this one, again, I want to show because my poor book designer probably thought I was bonkers. So this house is actually, and I talk about, you know, leaning into nostalgia. This is actually a real bed and breakfast in Canada, in Fredericton, Canada, called the Quartermain House. And talking about leaning into your feelings, a friend of mine that was battling a terminal illness, I wanted to honor her because she took me to this house for the first time as a travel person. She was working in tourism. And I wanted the cover and I wanted to dedicate, this book is dedicated to Heather. But when I talk about twinkle lights, I want to get really close. And if you can see all the
Oh,
lights, like
yeah.
all every tiny little light, and on the tree, and on that
Uh-huh.
tree. And people say, Karen, take your movie hat off. This is a book. We're not doing that. And I say, no, you were wrong. When you were writing Christmas, it's the one time that you want to lean into those descriptions. So you want to say that the trees were covered with twinkle lights, or they walk through the magic, especially if you're writing romantic comedy. The setting is the one time, even if you don't really lean into setting, you want to feel that. I have people say, I feel like I'm in a movie, or I read your books just because it gets me in the Christmas spirit because I can see it. So I
Yeah.
think that the setting is most important. So you want a title. For me, cover is everything. As Christmas, I think it is for all our books. I love landscape, but I do love the animated ones, and I've seen. But if you're going to do it, even in the animated, make sure that you do Christmas lights. Put in some nostalgia. Don't make it too hip and trendy because it just, even if you're 20 years old picking it up, it's not going to hit that part of you that's the connection. That's what we have with Christmas novels. We have an instant connection to people you want to capitalize. So you're going to use your nostalgia. You're going to write beautiful descriptions. And again, you want Christmas to be a main part of the story, a main character. You learn something at Christmas. And if you can take us to a magical, of course, we have magical little towns because they're popular, snowy mountain towns, southern towns. You know, Nancy, I was just talking about, she wrote hers this year based in the Caribbean, and it's a novella, and I love it. And
Uh-huh.
it's Mission Merry Christmas, and I'm loving it all about it because it's the Caribbean. But take us somewhere that is going to be an escape, because at the end of the day, when you're watching Christmas movies, reading Christmas novels, or listening to Christmas audio, it's a time of year we want to feel good. It's the time of year, and I want to borrow a phrase from the song A Christmas Waltz. It's a classic song, and it says, "It's that time of year when the world falls in love." And I believe that, that it's that one time a year that we're a little kinder. We're going into that season. And I think that we are drawn to stories that are going to remind us visually, remind us in dialogue, remind us in character. And for goodness sakes, have a beautiful cover in some way that's magic. I don't care how, it doesn't have to be landscape, old school me, but and go on Amazon and just put in Christmas romance. It's real fun to see. It's about 50-50. Well, actually, no, about 80-20, because a lot of the authors are older. They are stayed with landscape. It's their brand, like me.
Right.
But then you see the young, hip ones, that are, fun too. So we're seeing both. And I'm curious I'd love to hear what people think. Which covers they're more drawn to, the landscape or the cutesy animated ones. Because my Audible Christmas story, Once Upon a Christmas Story, that's coming out December 1st, we have the animated, and it's adorable, So there you go.
And so you can let us know down in the comments which of these types of covers you prefer. And we know if you are jumping into the world of writing your Christmas stories, one of the most important things you can do is research, research, research. So Karen, where can everybody find your books and you on social media to research before they jump into writing?
Oh, well, thank you, Cam. This is so much fun. You can find me. My website's probably the easiest. It's KarenSchaler.com. And I wanted to mention, I always forget, I do so many giveaways between now and Christmas. And especially for authors, if you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, I give away, I do autographed book plates where I'll sign it to you, and these little bookmarks. And again, it's part of kind of the magic, and it's people's traditions. So those kind of things are fun. So KarenSchaler.com. I also have a downloadable guide. I have recipes in all my books. That's something to consider too. I do recipes and activities. And so it's called the Christmas Camp Guide. You can get that. And on social, I just got on TikTok, you guys. So it's Karen Schaler. Please follow. It's going to be Christmas all Christmas. I think in one I even said, if you don't like Christmas, you want to keep scrolling. But I'd love to learn from you guys, because tell me in comments what you want to see, what you don't. I'm going to be doing more of this kind of thing. So I'm going to learn. And then Twitter is Karen Schaler. My author page is Karen Schaler Official. And Instagram, to be goofy, because I have a travel show, it's Travel Therapy. I know it seems crazy, but I really connect with people on social. And again, I'm doing so many giveaways, so many fun events. I'm partnering with two other writers, bestsellers in Christmas. I mentioned Jenny Hale, Nancy Nagel. I think we're doing it December 5th. We're doing a cookie one where we're sharing cookie recipes. We're looking even at cocktails. And it's a time where we do what like we're doing with UKM, where we share our inspirations for our stories and answer people's questions about if you want to write these. So please do follow and keep following KM, because she's awesome. I really appreciate you having me on and letting me share, some tips, because I want to read more of these Christmas stories from all of you. I can't wait.
If you're writing a Christmas novel, let us know down below. And if you've got questions, we want to make sure that we're getting those answered as well. So feel free to jump into our comments. If you have guests that you want to see on this show, or specific genres or topics or tropes that you want us to cover here, let us know down below to make sure that we can get you the people and the tips to help you elevate your writing so you can thrive inside of this industry. And hit that subscribe and notification bell, because every single day we're dropping brand new episodes to help you level up in the writing and reading world. I'll see you in the next episode.